It was very difficult to see somebody different when you look at the beloved Prophet and all the other Arabs. He was an Arab, lived in the time where the Arabs lived, in the environment, and one would expect him to be very super sensitive to the climate, to the kind of food, and that's why he wore the Arab clothing, he ate the Arab food, lived in the Arab kind of homes, dwell in the Arab society. But this beloved Prophet was not like the Arab. He was unlike the Arab. And in life, they say people, or they use the expression, man is the product of society. All of us, in many ways, we are produced by our society. We are influenced by our society. The socialization of a human child, the biggest impact of it is the home he or she grows in, the family he or she grows in, the relatives he or she has, the school, the neighborhood, the mosque or the temple, or the community center that he or she attends, and overall, the country, the region, the world that he or she belongs in. However, having said that, great human beings are those, no matter where they are born, they don't succumb to the decaying elements of society. Great human beings, which means you and I can become. Do not look to your right far beyond and say, oh, that's a great human being. What a great opportunity it will be to shake his hand or to meet him. Don't you see what society is? The trend is such is to recognize great people and to feel it's a great thing to get their autograph, or to feel it's a big thing to get a picture with them. How do you think they get great? They weren't born great. All great people, for whatever they are great for, they had to stand up above society figuratively, look at society and see what society needs, and then produce what society would really benefit from. A great and outstanding human being is someone, in spite of the fact of being born wherever he or she is born, does not succumb to the society, but stands up, looks at society, takes the positive things of society, but also looks and sees what is degenerating society, what is dehumanizing society, and that was the beloved Prophet. And that's what he wanted to convey to you and to me. That we should not feel we are nobody, and we should be numbers in society. And our destiny should be etched by people, and marked by people, and designed by people. And I use the expressions of the Caribbean to throw a lasso around somebody's neck, which is the next form of slavery. This beloved Prophet made a statement in his life when he says, as was the requirement of the divine command, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. And the translators translated say. And I told you, anytime words comes out of my mouth and your mouth, and they don't come out with a conviction, and they're not backed up with a commitment of resources at our disposal, is an expression of hypocrisy. This beloved Prophet was not a hypocrite. He was not somebody who was just prattling the words, as you know, the common understanding. These are words of revelation, so he opens his mouth and he prattles it and the matter was done, which many humans do today. And they feel if we can read divine words, we have done a great thing. You see how many of us read divine words, but because they lack conviction, and because there's very little commitment to back up those words, you see people who read scriptures every day, umpteen times a day, they cannot even resuscitate themselves, much less resurrect themselves and take out the disintegrating and decaying elements of their existence. This beloved Prophet was that. He brought such a deen that was empowered to resurrect humans in society. And that's the meaning of a deen al-qayyim. You will know if you're in touch with divine guidance. I will know if I'm in touch with divine guidance or I'm just dealing with rituals. How do you know? According to the Qur'an, is that we would be able to evolve. We would be able to rise above what we were this morning. If at midday we come into contact with divine guidance, we'll be able to rise. But think if I'm to do rituals all my life. I'm doing it because I inherited. I'm doing it because others are doing it. I'm doing it because it is expected of me. That's how I'm going to be considered one of the crowd. But I'm going nowhere. Do you think this is in synchrony with what the Qur'an is all about? Brothers and sisters, the beloved Prophet demanded that his community stay close to Allah. Stay close to Allah. And that's an expression, a figure of speech. Because Allah is not a physical force. It's not a physical force. So there is no way, there is no physical action that you and I can do to become physically close to Allah. It's a figure of speech. The Qur'an tells us in chapter 16, verse 60, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. Everything that is sublime, everything that is lofty, everything that is exalted, everything that is most empowering is synonymous with Allah. Everything that is decaying, demoralizing, that destroys is synonymous with shaitan. And I've said to the Muslims many times, shaitan is not a human being. Shaitan is not a mountain. Shaitan is the forces, the mental forces that the human mind conceptualizes, that allows him or her to become far from divine achievements. So the challenge is with the individual. So this beloved Prophet made it very clear when he told the Arabs who needed to get out of what they were in. If you look at people today, the average human society is in great distress. And the average society wants to know which way out. How do we get out of the mess that we're in? You find the world, their richest nations, they're having conferences upon conferences to get out of the economic mess. And there are numerous gatherings to get out of the political mess. And this will continue. People will continue to gather and they will postulate, they will come up with their own solutions. Do you and I, in the time in which we live in, do you really see that we're moving to realistic solutions that will solve the economic problems of our world, that will solve the political problems of our world, that will solve the social problems of our world, that will solve the problems of education and learning? that will solve the problems of the average family, of the